And on the 8th day, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a caretaker. So God made a farmer.
Howdy folks, Darren back with you at Cross Timbers Farm. Welcome to 8th Day Chronicles. Glad to have you back with us after about a 2-week hiatus from filming. We had a lot of family things going on. Everything's well, but we just had a lot of activities going on. Not a lot of time left to film. Plus, we were in between cuts and not a lot going on the farm other than just daily chores and things of that nature. Right up front, I want to say thank you for all our great subscribers and all the great comments we got left in our video on should I cut this hay. We got some great feedback from you guys. Thank you. We read carefully each reply and considered each reply. In the end, the weather dictated what we were going to do. I was leaning toward go ahead and cutting this so we could be on a schedule to hopefully get a third cut. The weather said no. The good Lord is in control of the weather, and he made our mind up for us through the weather. So we did not cut, and we have had rainfall almost every evening regularly for 2 weeks. And that rainfall has had an impact on this field. I talked about in the other video about whether we should cut it. The burnt ends where the drought and the high heat almost just scorched the field. It quit growing. It's growing again. I've been keeping an eye on this field every afternoon or every other, and our field has resumed growing. I think it could grow better if we would go ahead and cut it. I think it would really, at that point, now that it's already coming back on, if we would cut it now, and I think it's ready to cut. If we cut it now, I think we'll have tremendous regrowth for our third cutting if the rain continues. And the long-term forecast looks that way. It does look like we're going to keep getting rain. Went right over here, just right out randomly, and picked some orchard grass. And I want to show you a representative of what's going on so you understand what I'm talking about here. If you watch the Should I Cut My Hay video, you know this is what we were dealing with right here. You can see the brown tips on the blades. Actually, this is orchard grass. You can see the brown tips on it. That is a result of the high heat. It scorched these cool season grasses through June and around the 1st of July. Since, now this come off the same piece, I pulled this leaf off. There was 3-4 leaves on this, and I want to show you, okay, this was what was here. And it was not this long when I done that video. You could have cut maybe about that much of it off. It was about that long. Now it's this long, okay? Here's the rest of that blade, and you can see, look at that. Look at the growth that's come on, okay? Here's this one's got a little bit of a burnt tip, just a little. Okay, but look at the new growth. This is new growth since that all the rain. It's looking really good. I measured this piece or pieces of orchard grass, and it's 23.5 inches tall. And I picked it right at the crown. So it's 23.5 inches, and that's a pretty good average of what's in the pasture. Around 23 inches, almost 2 foot. So, looking at our calendar and wanting to get a third cut off this, we're going to cut this main hay field. I think it's, regardless of how many bales we get off of it, yield is not our primary objective. Quality is, and the quality is good right now. If we'll cut it now, and we'll get decent yield, probably around the 1st of October, end of September, we can cut again for a third cutting and have 2 cuttings, second and third, of super high quality premium hay off these fields. So the kicker in all this is the weather. And I've been watching the weather intently for days now. We had rain all day yesterday from a storm that came in off the Gulf, a tropical storm. It moved through our area and now it's long gone. Brought us a lot of rain yesterday, but we've been getting rain regularly for 2-3 weeks now, or maybe even a little bit longer. And our hay has really taken back off growing. The temperatures has come down some. It's 82 degrees right now, and it's about 1 p.m. A little bit lower temperatures and the abundant rain, this hay has taken back off. And I can't say how much I appreciate everyone's comments in that other video or whether I should cut this or not. You guys were spot on. I was leaning towards cutting it. And I'm not going to say there's a wrong or a right answer in that situation. I think either or we would have been okay. But the weather dictated that we just waited, and I'm glad we did. I think if we'd have cut, the regrowth would have been coming back, but we were not able to cut. If I wanted to go through and just clip it and just leave it, that would have been fine. Rain wouldn't matter. But I did want it off the field. There's enough organic material on this sod that I think adding more would have been a little bit detrimental, so we didn't do that. Leaving it, I think, has proven to be good. Good Lord knows best. We're hoping to cut this today. However, today is a Friday. The forecast says clear Saturday, Sunday, Monday. That's 3 days. Tuesday, 50% chance of rain. We need 4 days for dry down. If we cut this today, we're taking a gamble. No doubt. We're going to keep watching this forecast all day long. And do we cut or don't we? That's a dilemma every hay farmer faces through the summer. You look at that forecast and you've got that window and there's rain right here and you're like, wow, that's cutting it close. Should I go ahead and cut? Should I not? If I cut, it's going to get rained on possibly right at the end when it's already dry. Or do I just wait? To line up with our cuttings and our third cutting, I would love to go ahead and cut this. It's going to be high quality hay right now. I'd love to cut this. It's one of those things you feel like flipping a coin and going, do I cut or don't I? Every hay farmer faces this at some point. I'm just a little worried that I might need a 5th day for dry down, to bale that 5th day instead of the 4th day. We're going to watch the forecast. One thing about it, the forecast this time of year seems to change daily. It could say 4 clear days right now, and look at the forecast 5 hours from now, and then it'll say rain in 2 days. You're like, what the heck am I supposed to do? You just say a prayer and start cutting. Now, obviously you don't if it's rained for days and you can see storm fronts coming and all that. But when you have these hit and miss pop-up showers of the evenings, you're taking a gamble either way. Even if the forecast says clear, you're taking somewhat of a gamble. We're going to hook up the drum mower, and we have lowered the cut on our drum mower. We dropped the cut height down on our drum mower to 2 spacers because of the thickness of this hay, and we experienced that in our test plot. And that's due to our soil being so much healthier and better and our hay being so much thicker. when you have that, here's the skid plate, here's the plate on top with the blades attached to it. That hay, most of it is laying over, and the blades cutting way up here, and then the drum mower hitting this down here and pushing it what's below the cut height, and it's pushing all that in front kind of more over. And I think it's detrimental to your cut when your hay gets this thick. First cut, I don't think it's that big of a deal because of the steamy nature of the hay holding it up. But on second and third and subsequent cuts, grass hay, that hay lays out. It comes up so far and lays out. And then there's layers under it, and it gets heavy on top of it and kind of starts pushing it down a little bit. And that cut height's way up here. And this bottom skid plate starts just pushing some of it where it's getting cut way up here, not down here. And this down here is pushing over, and what's up here, it's pushing it down, and when the blades go through, it's not making contact with it because it's just so thick. So we've lowered our cut height down to 2 spacers. We're gonna try that. Are we gonna leave it there for the rest of the year? I don't know. We're gonna do 1 cut with it there. Our regrowth will take about a week longer. I think at 2 spacers than it did at 6, but I think it'll be better for our cut. We left hay in the field on the test plot, I feel, at 6 spacers with that hay that thick. When I say thick, the first cut was thick, but it was up. This second and subsequent cuts are thick lower. I hope all that makes sense. If it don't, I'll explain it better in a separate video. So the regrowth on that test plot has been out of this world good. Cut 3 weeks and you ought to see it. It's already 2 foot tall. Unreal growth up there. I'll give you a quick look at it before we go hook up the drum mower. Check out the regrowth in this test plot. It can be cut anytime as well. 3 weeks of growth. Weather forecast just keeps changing. Now, 2 different weather stations that I have found to be fairly reliable for our area is now saying on the 4th day, rain chances has dropped from 50% down to 30. I guess their models are predicting this weather and the rainfall. It's summertime. It's late, mid to late summer, and it's August. You have these hot days and pop-up showers of the evening. If you cut hay this time of year, even if your forecast says 10% chances of rain, there's always a risk of a pop-up shower. When you get high humidity, and it's very humid, due to this humidity, we're gonna need at a minimum 4 days to get this hay dried down to a proper moisture content. We've got our drum mower hooked up to the tractor. I've brought it down here near our home. I'm going to real quickly take the blades off of each drum and sharpen them with a file right quick. I haven't sharpened them since before first cut. We're gonna give them a quick sharpening. You can pull 3 blades per drum off, sharpen them and put them back on in 15 minutes quickly. Having nice sharp blades on your hay mower is important for a nice clean cut. So And when we have them off, we'll inspect them. If any of them's got chips out of them or anything, which I don't think they do, because we adjusted our cut height not long ago, took some spacers out, and I saw all the blades while I was doing that, and they all, to my memory, looked good. But we will give them a quick sharpening and inspect them. If any of them needs replaced, we'll replace them. But we're going to get on that, and then we're going to start cutting hay. Very simple to take these blades off. Just use your tool, get your blade picked up, go right under between that lever. That simple, that quick too. The only problem with it is just getting a skirt out of your way. Okay, we got our drum mower hooked up. We got it squared in the back. We're gonna start cutting hay. This forecast this time of year is crazy, the weather forecast. We went from 2 hours ago, the weather forecast saying the 4th day, we cut today and then we need it minimum 4 days for proper dry down. On that 4th day earlier, around lunchtime, they were saying 50% chance of rain. Earlier this morning, it said like 53 or 54%, which is a little more than I'm willing to risk. As the day has progressed, their models is shown, and now it's saying a 24% chance on day 4 and like a 35% chance on day 5. Earlier, it was like 50 to 54% on day 4, and day 5 was like a 60%, and it's went way down. We're gonna start cutting. We're taking a gamble either way. So our mower is hooked up square behind the tractor. It's very out of level. We're gonna level this thing up for a good cut. It needs to go this way a little bit. The cutting edge is a little high, meaning the trailing edge is a little low. And to adjust that, we will adjust our adjustable side link. Okay, if you watch my adjustments, you can see this pin move. I'm gonna go around to the other side and reach across so you can see that thing moving. See it move? Okay, we're a little narrow here. All right, that's pretty close to center. Okay, now we're going to adjust our top link. Okay, all of a sudden our top link got really loose. That's usually an indication you are level this way. We're ready to start cutting hay. It's about 10 till 5 p.m. of the evening. Perfect time. We always like to cut late of the evening for the highest sugars and starch levels we can get in our hay. The ground, the hay's dried out real good from the rain yesterday. I got out and walked around and kicked around in the hay, no moisture on my boots. Everything's looking good. We got our drum mower leveled up and ready to go. Tractor has been fueled and the drum mower oil level and the gearbox checked. The PTO greased. Everything's ready to go. So we're gonna start cutting this hay, and we're rolling the dice with the weather. I realize that when you get to the summertime, these hot days, it's about 90 degrees now. Evening thunderstorms and pop-up showers, what the weatherman calls scattered, isolated showers and thunderstorms. We could get one any evening. As long as we don't get soaking rain. A little quick shower on the hay, I've come to find out, is not necessarily a deal breaker. If you got a tedder, you can ted that hay out and usually you'll be okay. Now, a soaking rain that sets into raining all day or all night, that's not good. It will leach out a lot of your nutrients. A small shower on the hay is not like game over. You can still make good hay. Ted it out as quickly as that rain stops. Keep it tedded. Come check it later. If it's still a little damp under it, kick it again. That's where a tedder pays for itself sevenfold. So anyway, we've got our drum mower hooked up. We need to cut this now in order for us to get a third cut off of it. And this hay is, since that drought, this hay has taken back off to growing and it looks really good. This is going to make some really high quality hay, very high nutritional value hay. Very few stems, there's a few here and there and yonder, but overall, very few stems, a lot of orchard, tall fescue, and timothy. And some red clover mixed here, there, and yonder, but not a whole lot. And some Kentucky bluegrass mixed in here, there, yonder. So everything's ready to roll. We're going to fire up the Kubota, get these drums to spinning on this drum mower, and we have lowered our cut height. We lowered it down to 2 spacers, and I've cut with it at 2 spacers before in the past, and it cut really good. It cut lower, but it cut really good, a nice clean cut. Lots of folks use these mowers in the factory setting. They don't put a lift kit on it, and they're real pleased with it. I've mowed with this one in the factory setting, and boy does it mow good. You don't see a blade of grass nowhere that it misses. I've mowed with it with 2 before, and we're going to mow 1 lap around our main hay field counterclockwise with the mower to the outside next to our fence rows, and then we'll turn around and mow the rest of it clockwise. But after we mow that first counterclockwise route around the field, we're going to stop, shut everything down, get off, and inspect the cut, the height of it in a really level place. You can't measure and look at your cut height in places in your field that's like this. You're going to get 4, 5, 6 inch cut height here. You move 12 inches and you get 3 inch cut height. You move another 12 inches and you got 8 inch cut height. You have to find a really place in your field that's really level. And we'll do a little looking at the stubble and see exactly how high it's cutting at 2 spacers. I've seen it before, but I didn't measure it. I just looked at it and said, yeah, that's a little lower than I would like, but it was a really clean cut. And I think for these second and subsequent cuttings, we're going to need a lower cut for a clean cut. So we'll inspect it. So let's get a round going, and then we'll take a look at the stubble. Made one lap counterclockwise and got off, and we've took a look at our stubble, and boy, it's cutting cleanly, very cleanly. Let me go get my grazing stick, and we'll actually measure. Right here is a really level place. We have our handy dandy grazing stick, courtesy of North Carolina Cooperative Extension, the Natural Resources Conservation Service of the USDA, Amazing Grazing, and the North Carolina Forage and Grasslands Council. Thank y'all for a great stick. All right, our stubble height. All right, there's a sum cut really clean, and it's cut at 3 inches. Okay, let's measure in several different places. There's 3 inches. Okay, there's some about 2.5. Okay, there's some about 3. There's some about 2 7/8. All right, a lot lower than it was cutting, but it's cutting really clean. I mean, really cleanly. I'm happy with that cut. All right, there's a bunch of grass, and it didn't miss any. That's a good cut. We're gonna leave it there. take care of your equipment. Second cut on the main hayfield's done. Just in time. The sun has just set over the mountain there, and it's about 8 p.m. and it won't be long, about 20-30 more minutes till dark. We'll TED this out tomorrow. This hay, better than I thought it was. Thicker than I thought it was. When I was mowing, and if you're familiar with the drum mower, how they push out a windrow behind the mower, I got off a couple times in the process of filming to move some cameras around, and I checked every time I got off. I looked at the cut quality, and I looked at the swath of hay. A lot more hay there than I thought there was. It was really thick laid out down. Since we've had rains for the last couple of weeks, steady rains almost every evening, this hay has really thickened up, and I'm glad that we let it go. The good Lord knows best. So we let it go when we were contemplating cutting it. We let it go just a little bit longer. Because of the rain, we just couldn't really do nothing with it, and that was a good thing. This hay's turned out really good. Going to make some high quality, premium quality hay. I'm a big proponent, and if you follow our channel, you've heard me say this a lot. At least on the eastern seaboard and the southeast in my area, there's no such thing as weed-free hay. Dad burn, this is close. Our herbicide spraying early in the season has paid dividends. Very, very little weed load in this hay. Lots of orchard, lots of timothy, lots of fescue. There was a little bit of crabgrass here, there, and yonder that I saw while I was mowing, and a little bit of foxtail. Foxtail's a problem. That is a very problematic weed. It's like deer tongue. Luckily, there is hardly no deer tongue in this main hay field. But foxtail is a lot like deer tongue as far as herbicides to kill it. There is none. Just like deer tongue, what you got to do is just try to crowd it out, and if that don't work and you have to do something, the only thing left to do is glyphosate, tillage, and start over, disking. Don't want to do that. There's not a lot of foxtail in this field, but there's a little bit. And we're going to continue to try to crowd it out. But anyway, the cut's done, and 2 spacers on our drum mower cut height. And I'm here to tell you, it cut very nice, very clean. If your goal is a super clean cut field, man, even as thick as this was, that cut's so clean. When you have that second growth, it's lower to the ground and the blades are above what a lot of that is. A higher cut height can be detrimental once your hay gets so thick for second and third cuttings. Subsequent cuttings after first cut. Depending on, there's no hardly fields perfectly level like a pool table, but you measure and you might get a little dip here, there, yonder. You just have to take an average cut height, and our average cut height on this was right at 3 inches. You could say 3 inches. Because some of it was 3 1/4, 3 1/2, some of it 2 1/2, 2 1/4, but the majority of it was right around 3 inches if you take an average. And it cut really, really cleanly. I'll probably cut the test plot with it in that same configuration again here in a week or so, and then I may raise it back up to 4 spacers. I don't know. We'll see. It cut really good at 4 spacers. I noticed when we went to 6 spacers, it cut really good for first cut. Second cut, not so good with that lower growth. it is what it is, and it's not that big of a deal to change them out. We may put 2 more on after we cut the test plot for the 3rd cut. So thanks for being with us here on the farm today as we done our 2nd cut on the main hay field. We really appreciate you being with us. Hopefully the weather holds out. Our fingers are crossed. This time of year cutting hay, you're rolling some dice with these evening thunderstorms. The last time I looked at the forecast, we had a pretty decent forecast for at least 4 days, maybe 5. So we will see. It's gonna make some premium hay if we can just keep it from getting soaked. Thanks for being with us. We really appreciate it. Come back with us. Stay tuned on our channel. And if you hadn't, we'd really appreciate it if you'd subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. Converse with us. Drop some comments. We love to hear from you. We got the best subscribers anywhere on YouTube. You guys are fantastic. I learned so much from y'all, and I really appreciate it. Come back with us. We're going to be tedding this tomorrow, and we'll keep an eye on the drying process, and then we'll be raking and baling. Thanks for being with us. God bless you and your family. Hope y'all have a fantastic evening.